Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from IPR365.com, podweather.com, and now introducing, just unveiled it, weatherblog.com. That's WXBLOG.com. Weather blog will be posting different things regarding the hurricane season, regarding weather in general. You could find these tropical videos here, and you will like the website, no doubt. Taking a look at where we should be this time of year, here we are. We're in mid-July right here, and we have had two storms so far. So for mid-July, we are slightly ahead of the game for what we should be in an average hurricane season. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't average out. We absolutely can, but it's not looking good. It's looking like we probably will have an above normal hurricane season. Taking a look out there in the Atlantic this morning, or I'm sorry, this afternoon rather. Time flies by. I still thought it was late morning. You could see that we have a couple of systems as the sun comes up. Uh, in the western Gulf of Mexico, we have a piece of energy that's looking a bit interesting. If you remember this time last year, we had one out there that we were all convinced would become Tropical Storm Chris, and it never did. But they don't need more moisture in this area that they've have to dealt with that flooding, so that certainly was what it's going to bring. We're going to talk about that. Our tropical wave that we have been watching progress across the Atlantic and the islands is up here, interacting with an upper level low in here, and it's flaring up a bit. Keep an eye on it. That is still the same wave that the Canadian had been making a system entering the Gulf, but that doesn't seem likely, but still keep an eye on it. Wave in the western Caribbean that's going to move into Central America, and a new tropical wave down here that's kind of come from under the radar. I hate those under the radar waves. That's how Hurricane Charlie came to be. A lot of these storms come from under the radar, and this one, the models, the GFS actually continues it generally towards the Yucatan Channel up here over the next several days. And, you know, don't be surprised if we see something develop out of one of these waves eventually as we continue to get closer and closer to August. Now, here are the sea surface temperatures in the Gulf and the Northwest Caribbean for this time 2 years ago, July 2005. At this time 2 years ago, we had just had a hurricane move in this area, Dennis, which was a 928 millibar Category 4 that rapidly intensified over these waters. We were having Emily, which became nearly a Cat 4 as it moved over here. Later on, a month later, we had Katrina, which moved and blew up into a Category 5, and then we had Rita, which blew up to a Category 5 in this area. And that was the very warm waters, and you can see that we're very, very warm in this area of the Eastern Gulf in 2005. Now look what they are now. Yeah, this is not a joke. That was the waters in the Gulf before Katrina and Rita blew up, and look at them now. Extreme heat potential, especially in the central and eastern Gulf. I'd be very concerned if we get any type of even a tropical storm leaving Cuba heading towards the central Gulf or something coming up into the Gulf. I'd be very concerned because it's these shades of waters in the western Gulf that were the temperatures when we saw Hurricane Dennis blow up from a Cat 1 to a Cat 4. And Hurricane Katrina, if we saw it over that type of water, what's going to happen when we see it move over these hot waters? We're talking about 90 degrees off Louisiana, 90 degrees off Clearwater and Tampa. So not looking good sea surface temperature wise in the least. You can see wind shear out there right now. The reason why we haven't been seeing anything develop is we have this pesky upper level low in here that's continuing to flare up this wave, but thankfully is keeping it in check. But you can see that there is a low wind shear behind it and ahead of it. So that tropical wave that's moving up from south here near 10 north might not have all that bad of conditions as the upper level low retrogrades in front of it. We're going to have to wait and see on that. You can see the GFS model, if you keep track of the wind shear over today, you can see it's very high in the Caribbean Sea there, very high wind shear. But watch what happens in about a week. The wind shear decreases dramatically once this upper low gets out of here, and we should have a pretty good ridge in place so that if anything does move into the Caribbean, it might not have all that bad of conditions to form. Further out in the Atlantic, you can see we have a tropical wave out there in the central area of the Atlantic, and then another one moving off Africa, and more waves behind it. Keep an eye on those. You can see the United States, pretty good thunderstorm flare up here over the central United States, some troughiness off the east coast that's going to be replaced with a large ridge. And you can see our system here in the Gulf of Mexico. Zoom in a little bit closer on that, and you can see there is some moisture with it. So it's not, free of rain, but as for development, that seems rather unlikely at this point in time, but keep an eye on it. Eastern Pacific, we have a system off the Mexican coast, keep a close eye on what's left of our depression. And this, believe it or not, less than 12 hours ago, this was a hurricane, Cosme, and it's since weakened dramatically. Here's the latest on it. Winds down to 45 miles an hour, gusting to 55. It's moving to the west at 1002 millibars, and you can see the forecast keeps it a tropical storm as it clips the state of Hawaii and then weakens even further, although it may weaken much, much quicker than that. And in the western Pacific, not much going on after Man-Yi, some scattered showers, but that's about it. So I'm Mike Naso. That's the latest on the tropics. Stay tuned to weatherblog.com, IPR365.com, all of our sites for the latest. I'll see you next time.